My title isn't who I am. That is a direct quote from retired Major General Deborah Ashenhurst. She is proud of her achievements, and there are many, but that's not what drives her every day. Retired Major General Deborah Ashenhurst is a prime example of the best laid plans in life taking you in a completely different direction.
Well, I had decided I wasn't going to go to college. I was going to go to California, be a beach bum. About a year out of high school, and I was working a job that kept me alive. I went back to my father and said, "You know, Dad, I think you're right. I need to go to college." He's like, "That's great, kid. How are you going to pay for it?" I'm like, He said, "Let me tell you about this National Guard scholarship."
The year was 1978 when Debbie, as she likes to be called, joined the Army.
But I loved the military. Found the lifestyle was great for me, felt like I was a good fit for the military.
Most wouldn't think this tiny figure could fit, much less thrive the gauntlet of boot camp. But don't let appearances fool you. How many people could face a screaming drill sergeant hanging off a wall with a smile on their face?
I have a great sense of adventure. I love different things. I'm not afraid of anything.
Debbie did feel the scrutiny of being one of the few women in the Army.
There was a little bit of, somebody go help that little girl with something. And, I would just slam right back and say, "I don't need any help. I've got this." But I also had those that would be helping to clear the path. That if I could find my own way there, they'd make sure the path was clear so that I could succeed. And all I could do was try to clear that path behind me and just make it a little wider so all those women behind me could come flooding through and not have to negotiate. There were no's along the way, but I wouldn't count them. You just discount them, you push them aside, and you move forward.
It was that attitude that guided her to apply for Ohio's highest Army command.
And I remember talking to some of my fellow teammates and said, if this person isn't going to stay in that job, we need to figure out who we want our next leader to be. And as we started talking, I started looking around and I thought, you know what? This is probably a natural fit for me. I think that if I'm ever going to be ready, I am now.
And once again, Debbie, now Major General Ashenhurst, was a natural fit.
It was a dream. There were great challenges. Anytime you're leading 17,000 people, you've got the good, the bad, and the ugly, and you just have to concentrate on the good.
Debbie held the position of Adjutant General for 4 years, and while most would consider that the final step of an incredible career, Debbie believed there was another challenge to conquer in D.C., serving as the special assistant to the vice chief of the National Guard Bureau.
And I remember walking up the steps of the Pentagon, which is kind of like an moment anyway. And in the distance, I could hear the 21-gun salute and the taps at a funeral service over at our National Cemetery there in Arlington. And I just had to stop and pause and at this moment, what a special moment. To be hearing honors played for someone who served their country faithfully, but to be walking into this pinnacle of what the Department of Defense does and the decisions that are made here and the importance of this 5-sided building, it was a really striking moment for me, and I will remember that always.
In 2015, after 37 years of serving her country, she retired from the Army. Then, 4 years later, Governor DeWine called on her to be Ohio's Director of Veteran Services, calling it a dream job she never knew she wanted, and yet another first for Debbie Ashenhurst.
I did have a good number of firsts, but I always wanted to downplay that first. Because I didn't want anyone to think I got it because I was a woman. And I didn't want them to think I got it despite the fact that I was a woman.
A woman who to this day hopes to inspire all Americans to find a path in life through the military.
So what I would like to say is that it's a great foundation for life. To spend a few years in the military or whatever is your future, you can't have a better base than service to this great nation.